I haven't listened to anything you've said in the last 20 seconds.
Damn it, Trevor. We had a shtick.
Line.
Two friends who hate each other,
Rude.
talking science fiction,
It has become this cultural phenomenon.
along with some special guests.
I appreciate what Star Trek did to me.
I would love to have this book get banned.
That wasn't acting. That was real.
Do you know what our YouTube channel is?
Absolutely not. No win scenario.
With Trevor and Dawn.
Okay, we're not doing that.
Boom.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of No... Stop waving, Trevor. Stop it. All season, wave, wave, wave. And I apologize to those people who are listening to us because he just sits there and waves and irritates me once more. I'm going to try this again. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of No Scenario Podcast. Trevor is doing hand puppets or something. I think he's lost it here in the No Win Scenario Podcast studio. My name's Don Schechter. This is Trevor Chamberlain, who is clearly losing his mind.
Yeah. It's the end of the day.
It's the end of the day here.
Yep.
I couldn't let another moment go by without trying to understand. That was the biggest pause I've ever allowed on this show. Mm-hmm. Trying to understand when you looked at me dead in the eye and said, I like Attack of the Clones. Now, I don't want to become a Star Wars podcast. That movie's been out forever. But like, you talk about your like refined taste in film and television. You're like, the auteur's eye and blah, blah, blah. And then you say junk like that to me. And that is why I cannot take him seriously. Discuss.
I like Attack of the Clones.
No.
I do. I think it has excellent action sequences in it. I'll
give you the Yoda fight. That wasn't two? Attack of the Clones.
The Yoda fight's pretty great. I think the asteroid sequence, where Jango Fett is using those like audio, like sonic bombs.
The sonic mines,
oh my God, that the audio mix in that, the surround sound mix in that is just, it's chef's kiss perfect.
But the story is bad. The acting?
I don't know.
Okay, let me tell
the
you.
acting.
Hold on.
I'm going to defend the acting.
Excuse me. I am going to evoke Roger Ebert's name here when he said the chemistry between those two, Padme and Anakin, Natalie Portman and what's his face?
Hayden Christensen.
Hayden Christensen. Apologies, he's a fine actor. But the chemistry between those two actors, he said, they could not have had less chemistry if they were in different movies. I'll never forget hearing that.
Okay.
It was atrocious. The sand. I don't like the feel of sand. Wasn't that in that movie? Come on, that became a meme. But no, go ahead. Tell us how this is the best acting.
I can't defend the acting, but
I guess
I will anyways because Hayden Christensen is actually a very talented actor.
He's perfectly fine.
There's a film that he did called Shattered Glass that he's excellent in. He is in Sofia Coppola's The Virgin Suicides for a little bit. He's very good in that movie. I think he's a very talented actor. Natalie Portman, of course, extremely talented.
Very good
She won an Oscar for Jackie, one of my favorite movies of the last decade. She's very, very talented. I think this bad acting, it's just how George directs actors. And you
It's also
either
bad language, bad dialogue.
Bad dialogue. Yes, I'll give that all to you, but I don't blame the actors. I blame the director
I don't blame
in this
the
case.
But I'm saying it's a bad movie.
Yeah, the performances are bad, but I don't blame the actors. I blame George.
That movie was an experiment. Was an experiment on how much green screen we can do and how cool the world is around it without thinking about what's happening. It's like what's happened the last few years with LED walls, where like it's cheaper to use the LED walls and all that stuff, right?
Don't get me started on
the
volume.
Story. Yeah. So filming in a volume, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's about the technology and how easy it is or how interesting it is versus like what the actual story is or story should be.
Well, that was his first one that he shot on digital. Phantom Menace he shot on film. That one he shot on digital. Do you think the green screen stuff was more noticeable because it was shot digitally?
Not that it was more noticeable. Yeah, I mean, it feels like a cartoon.
Yeah.
But so did
I think the Phantom Menace feels more like a cartoon.
Yeah,
than,
I mean, I think that's what he wanted. Anyway.
Yes, that is what he wants.
So it's just a mix of live action and cartoon, and that's what he got. But I think so much time was spent on the world. I hate to say that, the world, but like the look and feel, and not enough attention to, does this story make any sense? Does this dialogue make sense? Nobody was like, this is bad.
Yeah. Listen.
Misa thinks this is bad.
I understand everything that you're saying.
It's pretty good Jar Jar.
Yeah, it
was
is
a
pretty
Jar
good.
Jar. Yeah. I'm very proud of myself on that.
I've come to appreciate the prequels in a way that just says that George Lucas is an auteur, and these are the films that he wanted to make.
They are what he wanted to make.
He wasn't making them for the fans. He was making them for himself. That might sound narcissistic as an artist. Like, I can admire that. These are this is what he wanted to make. And for better or for worse, these are what they are. Can I defend Attack of the Clones? I don't know. Probably not. I still find it to be the most entertaining of the three. I mean, Revenge of the Sith has some good moments in it, but I don't know. I find Attack of the Clones, warts and all, and there are more warts than not, I do find it to be an entertaining film.
I will say I almost feel the same way with Rise of Skywalker, which I know everyone hates.
Yeah.
And everyone was so upset that somehow the Emperor came back to life.
Yeah.
I was happy he did.
Yeah.
Because I remember growing up with Dark Empire, this comic book series that brought the Emperor back as a clone. And it was a very good sort of sequel to Return of the Jedi with the Emperor. And I wanted to see that movie. So I was like, well, this is dumb. Like how he just puts it in a crawl. Somehow the Emperor has returned. He didn't say that,
Right.
but that's a line in there. But like, I thought there were things in that were good. Not everything, but it could have been worse. And I liked the end. I thought was fine.
Yeah, I was very disappointed with Rise of Skywalker. And this is coming from a JJ fan. And I was actually disappointed with The Force Awakens as well.
Yeah. They're not good movies, I will just say. But I mean, for like popcorn summer movie kind of thing, or Christmas, whatever there was.
Well, at least I find The Force Awakens watchable. I don't find Rise of Skywalker watchable. And personally, I thought and was left wanting way, way more of the Knights of Ren.
Yeah. Exactly.
And we got nothing.
Nothing.
Like,
I think George Lucas could get away with that in the 70s or 80s. Right? But like now, no. We can't just have like some unnamed bounty hunter there. That looks cool. That's an action figure. That's
right.
it. We want the story now.
Right.
What that is. Like that was
so built up, or at least I thought it was built up, that I thought it was going to finally pay off.
Yeah.
In the third, and like nothing. And I was very, very disappointed in that.
But let's just agree that we're not going to touch The Last Jedi with a 10-foot pole because we don't want that kind of hate mail. We're going to move on. We're going to move on real quick before
I have things to say, but I won't say them.
Don't say it. Are you excited for the upcoming Star Trek series, Starfleet Academy?
No, because I'm more excited. I'm more excited for Strange New Worlds season 3.
Strange New Worlds has done an amazing job, I think, of recapturing what the original series probably was like. Watching it live,
one of the best. I honestly think it's one of the best shows on TV right now. I love it.
Strange New Worlds, the crossover episode with Lower Decks, and I think you should keep watching Lower Decks. So funny, that crossover episode, so good. Lower Decks was a great show. I'm so bummed it didn't keep going on. I would have loved Lower Decks.
You think they'll bring it back?
I don't know. It ended nicely. It did have a nice little wrap up to it, so it's a self-contained story. But I love that crossover episode. It was so fun.
Yeah, it was.
It was so good.
It was really good.
I liked most of the musical episode. I didn't like all the music, but I liked that episode.
Yes.
It was well done.
Yes.
Like half the songs I thought were good. In the last episode of the prior season, we're waiting for season 3 now. It was kind of scary and horror and dark. And it's just fun. And it just brought, but not in like a, it stayed true to the original Star Trek values.
It's a romp.
Yeah.
And
it's just fun. I mean, Discovery I watched. I had some things I liked, some things I didn't like about that show. Recently, Section 31 came out here, and we watched, and that movie came out. That's a pretty horrible straight-to-streaming movie.
Yeah, I heard it was pretty bad. And Michelle Yeoh's in it, right?
She's in it.
It's heartbreaking.
It was too bad.
Like, I love her so much.
And what I heard, too, is that if that had done well, they were thinking about it like a Star Trek Picard, 2-hour movie, and they're not going to do that because that did so poorly. I think it did poorly because it was poorly
made.
It was made very well. Like, shout out to all the actual people who made it. It's just the story was a bad idea to begin with. But it's still that, like, I want Star Trek Legacy. I think what happened, Star Trek Picard season 3 set up such a great show with Jerry Ryan and like the new next generation on, the Titan that turns into the Enterprise. And the fans want it. And they're like, oh, we hear this. But they're coming out with Starfleet Academy, which, I have no idea what that's going to be. It's got some heavy hitters in it. It's got Holly Hunter. It's got Paul Giamatti in it, I believe.
Paul Giamatti's in it?
Yes.
Oh,
so
wow.
it's interesting. It's bringing back Robert Picardo as the doctor, but it's got Tilly from Discovery. So who knows what they're going to go with, where with it. But it takes place in the Discovery timeline in the future. And I think there's still the desire for the next gen
Right.
timeline to continue.
Right.
Because it was so well received. So we'll see how it goes in the coming year or so.
Either way, to me, number one, Strange New Worlds. That's the thing. That's one of the TV shows I'm most excited for this year, out of everything.
Wow.
So I love that show immensely.
I
It's
just
great.
miss the days where you got like 20 episodes of a show.
Tell me about
or
it.
30 episodes of a show. And half of them were bad. That's fine because
Yeah.
there was always a kernel of something.
Yeah.
Like our past clip show, Shades of Grey, Next Generation. Terrible episode. But look at that. 30 years later, we had a Shades of Grey no-win scenario episode that we can still talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So-
I'm ready for... let's go find someone on the street to talk to. Should we bring
Yes,
someone in?
we should. Yeah. We
Okay,
should
so
bring
listen
a man
to these
up.
sausage ads and whatever. What's our ad now? Do we know? Do you
No.
listen to this podcast?
All I know is the Whole Foods sausage ad. That's it.
We're good. That's all right. We will be right back. Say something.
We'll be right back.
Say it better.
We'll be right back.
Now say it like you mean it.
We'll be right back.
See you soon. I get the last word.
It's time for the no-win scenario fun fact. Dawn prepares for every episode. Trevor prepares for the inevitable disappointment.
And we're back. Trevor, look where we are.
Yeah.
Our breaking news desk.
Yeah. It's great.
Is it great?
I like it a lot.
No, don't do my toys. Not my toys.
I like it. It's, yeah.
Now we got to do that all over again.
No,
Fix that.
we're leaving it.
This is a Mr. Spock potato head. Of course, now you're screwing up everything. My
Why can't we
earbuds are
leave
falling
that?
out,
Why
my
can't we leave
microphone
that
is
in
falling.
there?
That is special. That is Mr. Spock.
Okay.
Well, enough of you.
Okay. Enough of me.
Look at this. Breaking news. We needed a guest off the street.
Yes.
And we got one.
Very excited.
Should we talk to our guest?
Absolutely.
Who is our guest?
Hi, everybody. My name is Lai-San Ho. I am a TV editor currently working on Paradise Season 2 for Hulu, and I am a former student and intern of Dawn's.
We weren't supposed to tell anyone that, and that I had to pull a big favor. How does that make you feel, Trevor?
Lai-San, do you like Dawn? Did you like working for Dawn?
We're supposed to talk about Paradise.
The correct answer is no.
I think I had a love-hate relationship with working.
There we go.
Hate?
There
What do you
we
mean?
go.
Hate.
Mostly love, but there were times like when I was helping you paint your studio in sweltering heat all day long. That was not the most.
Our old studio. We painted everything black that first day. Oh my God! One wall was red. It's important to have one red wall. Oh my God!
We got paid in pizza.
Wait, when you're editing Paradise, do you think about that day painting the walls and be like, I've come so
I think about
far?
that day often. Yes.
But
It haunts your dream. It haunts your nightmares.
it clearly led to where you are today. Just
It
straight
all
from
paid off.
painting the walls,
Yeah.
it all paid off completely. Well, you brought up Paradise right away. Let's talk about Paradise. So it's a political thriller on Hulu. The first season's all out. This is a sci-fi show. Is it a sci-fi show, Paradise?
I think it is, and it isn't. It's sort of somewhere in the space between a sci-fi show and a more mainstream drama. It definitely has sci-fi elements, but it's not a straight like hardcore sci-fi show. It may be an entry point for people.
Well, because it has like the end of the world and underground bunker and things like that, but it's much more like intense and thriller. Is there, as one of the editors, and we'll talk about how you got to where you are, but like, is there an effort to sort of minimize the genre element to it? I don't know if that really comes into play in terms of editing the show, but do you ever feel like there's this, you tone down, you kind of clamp down on that and make it more about the thriller aspects of it?
I don't think so. I mean, I think we always, or in our show, we definitely put character and relationships at the forefront. And that is more of the focus, along with the mystery and the thriller, than the sci-fi, which is sort of the backdrop. We also don't have the budget to be a true sci-fi show. So we have to be selective and strategic with where we're able to put our money to show the dome of the sky or these sci-fi elements. So yeah, we have to be a little bit careful about that.
Does season 2 have more of a budget since season 1 was a hit?
I can't say for sure. I'm not, obviously that's sort of above my pay grade. I don't think it's a huge I don't think it's a particularly big increase if there is one.
Does it filter down, like, in terms of, like, does that come down to you, or before you go into the edit of a show, like, you've got the material that you've got, right? Or is there some sort of discussion about, hey, it'd be great if we had X or Y at that point, or is that point it's too late?
Yeah, well, before we start, they have a list of certain VFX shots that they know we want to get, and we have a VFX supervisor who's on set for those things, and it's a big conversation all the way through. But yes, as we're editing, we'll definitely come to situations where we realize it would be really helpful if we could have a big overhead view of the city at this point. And we have to, as editors, make our pitch for why it's necessary or would be helpful. And then hopefully we get it. We may not always get it, but we try.
There are 3 editors on season 1. How do you keep the style consistent? Do you have a meeting with the other 2 editors and have a discussion on style?
Well, the other 2 editors, Howard Leader and Julia Grove, I've worked with for a really long time. We were all also on This Is Us previously together, which was run by the same showrunner of Paradise, Dan Fogelman. So at this point, we have a really just close relationship where we know each other's style very well. We know Dan's style very well. And we can kind of just run with it, and we know that it's going to gel. We do have meetings every week with the whole post team, and the other editors and I will have our own little meetings sometimes to talk about our individual episodes. We always watch each other's episodes and give each other our thoughts and take inspiration from each other. So it's a great team and a great relationship among all of us.
And it's sort of the 3 of you is sort of interesting, right? So you worked on This Is Us, huge hit. And to have all 3 of you then, with Dan Fogelman go on to Paradise, like, what's the story there? Because it happened around the time of the strike, if I read correctly. Is that true?
Yes. So he had started gathering writers and was kind of trying to start up Paradise right before the strike happened. And then it all had to be put on pause until the strike was over. And it kind of worked out really well for us editors and a lot of the crew that when the strike finally ended, they were ready to go and all of us were available to hop on board. So yeah, that was great to all be able to come back together. And I think Dan said that something like 80% of the crew from This Is Us is on Paradise. So it's a lot of people coming back together.
Does it feel like this is strange to go from This Is Us to Paradise, but, like, does it feel like it's just a continuation of that show in terms of, like, the actual work as an editor? Like, are you having the same sorts of internal conversations with them that you had during that show? Or is there a little bit of a different either process or mindset that goes into this one?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the environment, it feels very similar. And it just kind of feels like we're coming back home in a way. But obviously the show is very different, and there are different things that we're having to think about, like keeping the mystery a secret, and there's a lot more action and tension. Well, a different kind of tension that we had in This Is Us, and really big propulsive score, and having to keep up that sort of thrill ride feeling through an episode that is quite different. And so that's felt like a new challenge in a cool way.
Take us through like your day and like at what point you come into an episode.
We get the script for an episode probably a few weeks to a month before it starts shooting. And so by the time we get to the point where we're actually getting footage for our episode, we probably know what's happening 3 or 4 episodes ahead of where that is. But they also give us a show Bible for the season so that we have an idea of the gist of what's going to happen, even if we don't know exactly how it's all going to play out. So we did always know that 107 was going to be that big episode where you finally find out how it all happened. And I think it's really awesome that we waited that long to do that episode. And I think that's a big part of what makes it so impactful, because along the way, we've gotten to know all of these characters and their backstories and really care about them, so that when you see them going through this horrific ordeal, you're that much more invested and the stakes feel much higher.
Yeah, and a side note, I think it's fair, like James Marsden, you don't necessarily love him at first or like him at first, and then by then you're more invested of who he was and what happened. So he's a little cold, and I don't mean in a bad way. In the beginning, you don't really know what's going on with him. Side note, did you see Jury Duty? I loved him.
No, I want to.
Not sci-fi related.
So funny in Jury Duty.
He's so good in Jury. That was one of my favorite shows when it was on. And Sterling K. Brown, he's fine too.
He's incredible. The two of them together, those are probably my favorite scenes to cut, because they're both just so talented and they play off each other so well. They have a lot of fun together.
Well, that brings me to a question. Obviously, continuity is important, but how do you cut for performance? You've got some heavy hitters here. You got James, you got Sterling, you have Julianne Nicholson, who's, in my opinion, incredible. How do you do that?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, working with actors at this level who are so good and rarely give a bad performance. And we just have so many choices. And Julianne Nicholson especially will give us a real range of deliveries on lines. And so when I'm watching dailies, I love to just sit and watch all of the dailies for the scene and really just pay attention to what moves me the most. And I'll kind of put markers on those things to keep in mind for when I'm cutting. And I'll put it together based on what I feel is the most engaging, impactful, moving way. And then obviously when I get into working with the director and with the producers, they may have things in mind that are maybe bigger picture that I don't know, or that they want to infuse into that character, or a way that they want to kind of shape the character going forward. So that's why it's amazing to have different options, and we can really fine tune and tweak and push things in whatever direction we want to go.
Is there always enough coverage, or have you run into a situation where you didn't have enough, or you felt like you didn't have enough?
We've had really great directors, and I can't really think of a scene where I felt like we didn't have enough coverage. The place that we run into difficulty is maybe when we get down the line, if the studio or network have a note about something that wasn't originally thought about or intended, and then it's like, oh, well, we don't really have that. And that's when you have to get creative. And this is where I feel like my training, as a student filmmaker working on these scrappy little projects where you have to just find creative solutions to things, has really come in handy because you still have to do that even at this level. It's like, well, what am I going to do here to address this issue? And you just have to maybe search other scenes for footage or look before and after action was called and cut was called. One specific instance I can think of with episode 106, which was the one where Xavier and his team are taking over the city. Spoiler alert. But the studio had a note that even though he's taking over the city and doing this big action thing, they also wanted us to remember that he is a loving dad. And could we show a connection with him and his kids in some way, like add a line of ADR or just, I don't know. They were like, we don't know how to do it, but just figure out how to do it. And there was really no elegant place to add a line of ADR that would do that. But as I was watching the episode, there was this one scene where Presley is looking at the iPad, the secret iPad that has all the government secrets on it, and trying to open it. And I had always thought that that was kind of unnecessary and mostly for the audience's benefit, because we know that she's had it for a long time already. So the fact that she would be trying to open it at that point wasn't really needed. So I had this idea of maybe instead of looking at an iPad, we replace it with a phone insert and show a text from Xavier checking on her. And so that like killed two birds with one stone of clearing out something that didn't feel totally natural and genuine for the character and addressing the studio note. So those are the kinds of random things where you have to like pull from wherever you can think of, ask other editors, hey, do you have a shot of this in your episode that I can steal? And we just make it work.
Now, without getting you fired, like when you get it, when a note comes to you like that, are you like, are you kidding me? Or like, do you get annoyed? Or you're like, yeah, this was a good note. These are all great notes. Let me figure out something creative. I guess what's the percentage of good notes to bad notes?
And where in the process do the notes come in? I mean, are you close to picture lock and that's when the notes come in and you got to kind of make difficult changes?
The studio network notes do come in close to the end. They're the last ones to see it. And Dan has a really good relationship with our studio execs, and they trust him a lot. So they don't overload us with a lot of notes. They will give us just the ones that they really think are important. So I would say a good percentage of them seem valid to me and worth trying. I have definitely found in my career so far that even if a note seems stupid to me, maybe at the time, it's worth trying and just seeing, because sometimes it works. And a lot of times things will work that you never expected to work. They are able to give us a perspective, an outside perspective from someone who's not as in it as we are.
Right.
I was going to say, speaking of your career, you know, we've been talking the last few seasons here with professionals in the industry about how they survive in their career. And so years and years ago, right, shows, there were many episodes in a season, and that was a ton of work for everyone involved. Paradise is an example, right? It's 8 episodes a season. You do 2, you split up with 2 other partners. You know, does that one show on a platform like Hulu, is that enough to have a full career in terms of like supporting yourself? Are you split up among multiple other projects? How is that handled? You know, it's not 22 or whatever episodes of a show like they used to do. Yeah,
it is tough, and things have gotten much tougher in the industry in the past 5 years. This Is Us was a totally different beast for me in terms of lifestyle, because I was cutting like 6 episodes a season on that versus now just 2. And it lasted much longer. So that was great. For my run on season 1 of Paradise, I was working for about 5 months, and it's most likely going to be the same this year. And I would have loved to find another show to jump onto in the meantime between seasons, but that didn't happen. There's just really a lack of work right now. I'm very lucky to have this one show. So I do have to be really careful with saving, and I do make enough in a 5-month season to survive, but ideally, and I'm hoping that this year I might be able to get one more thing this year.
We talk a lot with everyone about how they sort of keep their mental health together and what they do. Editing by itself is correct me if I'm wrong, is a fairly, solitary job for most of the time. So between that and sort of the uncertainty between seasons and just in general people looking for work, sort of how do you keep yourself sort of healthy mentally?
Yeah, it's a really important question and something that I think everyone in the industry is talking about more, thankfully, and trying to figure out. I have found a lot of comfort and solace in the community of editors. I try to just check in and keep up with friends who are going through the same thing. I'm actually part of this amazing community of women editors that's on Slack, actually, that started out with just a small group of 20 female comedy editors that then it was actually one of the founding members was the woman who was my editing mentor, Susan Vale. And so she expanded it and opened it up to all female editors of all genres. And that's been an amazing place where we all can, when it originally started, people were posting job leads and helping each other get jobs. Now it's more just supporting each other mentally and giving each other advice about health, mental health, physical health, how we're all staying sane. So that's been great. And I also do weekly therapy, which I think is great for everyone. And I think in terms of just the actual work, even if you're lucky enough to be working all the time, that is very mentally taxing because it's long hours often, and you can just really be all consumed by it if you let it, which I did for a long time. And now I'm trying to get myself slightly better work-life balance and carve out a little time for myself, like in the morning before I start my day, to just do something calming for myself. And that's been going well so far. Hopefully keep it up for the rest of the season as things get busier. Mm. And like exercise, is essential.
Oh, you hear that, Trevor? You should get up off your couch once in a while. It was very hard to get him here, I'd like to point out.
Don has a question that he's too embarrassed
what is
to
that?
ask.
I got a long list of questions. Which one am I embarrassed about?
At the end of episode 3, there's a very steamy love sequence that takes place in a shower. And
did you get notes on that? That's the question?
Don confided in me that he's watched that scene 18 times. And
I don't blame him.
He
well edited.
Loves
well
it.
edited.
And yes, he wants to know, what's it like to edit a love scene? How difficult is it? And
I got to say, that is your best question, and I wish it was on this list of questions.
Well, it's your question. You asked me to ask it because you're too embarrassed to ask it yourself.
I guess it's a good question. So what's that like?
Yeah, I think that actually is the first love scene that I've edited ever.
There weren't any for This Is Us, really?
That was a network show.
Yeah, it was a network show.
This was a little more.
Yeah.
I might be forgetting something, but it's definitely not something I've done a lot of, if I have done it before. And it was amazing actors, Sterling K. Brown and Sarah Shahi. And obviously they're two extremely attractive people, so it makes it pretty easy to make it look good. Our director shot a ton. It was almost the whole day that they spent on that scene.
Oh my God. They're soaked.
And so there was a lot of footage to go through. And for me, as an editor, I had to keep in mind, what is the point of this scene? It's not really to be the steamiest sex scene in the world. She has a goal here, which is to get him into the shower to tell him a secret message. So as much as there was a lot of amazing footage to use, I kind of had to condense it way down, make sure that we were focusing on her checking him for the wire, and the mystery of it, leaning into the mystery of it more than the sexiness of it. And so I think when I got into the producer's cut with Dan, he was like, cut it down even more. Like, just get him in that shower, get him sitting down, get the message out, because that's really the point. And we do get that one amazing wide shot of Sterling, which is awesome. So we used the best parts of it, but kept the story moving.
Yeah, Don loves that sequence. He really
hammered
loves that sequence a lot. So great job. He's very proud of you.
You don't make this weird, man. You're making this more weird.
You made it weird.
For the record, we have not discussed the show because I've been asking him for 3 months to watch the show, and he caught up last night. And he just walked in the studio today, looked at the desk, looked at all the work that like 7 people put together for this amazing environment, and he just shook his head and sat there in silence. But what is the hardest type of scene for you to edit? Is it a scene like that? Is it an action scene? Is it a heavy dialogue? What do you find to be the most challenging and maybe the most rewarding? See, that's a real question. Mm-hmm. You understand? Not that weird stuff that you just did.
I think my strong suit has always been the dialogue scenes, and those I have a very natural intuition for, and I had a lot of practice with This Is Us. So on Paradise, the most challenging has been probably the big action sequences, just because I haven't done as much of that. And in episode 6, it's almost one whole long action sequence, the whole episode. And we really wanted to feel that feeling of tension and amped up excitement the whole time, which is hard to sustain for that long. So my first cut was definitely too long. And that was, it's partly the script needing to just tighten up dialogue and things. But the way that we kind of solved it was just cutting every scene down to its essence and keeping everything moving just at a breakneck pace. And also the music is so critical, which I've learned for action sequences. You want that propulsive driving energy. And in that episode, we had this huge, really intricate score with tons of different instruments. Our music editor told me that we actually maxed out the number of tracks in Pro Tools because there were so many different instrumental tracks. And once we had that driving feeling for the whole episode, then it was like, okay, now it's almost too much. So we want to find little moments to breathe and kind of vary the tension, because what makes it interesting and exciting is having the highs and the lows. So we really fine-tuned that. And one of the things that I think is really interesting about the score in that episode is we've got this loud, driving, propulsive score almost the whole way through. And then at the end, when Xavier finally gets into Sinatra's house and they're facing off, we come down to this really, really simple score of it's just a bell, I think, repeating, and it's very subtle. And the the tension of that there is you can cut it with a knife. It's like so intense because compared to what we've been listening to the whole episode, it's just the complete opposite.
I could be wrong. I'm not a professional editor like you, but to me, I imagine that the hardest scenes to edit would be dialogue sequences that are so heavy on exposition, because the dialogue is kind of king in that situation, and it doesn't give you a lot of room to move around. Is that the case?
Well, I think we like to avoid exposition as much as possible. And so if we have scenes that are very exposition heavy, we're usually trying to extract as much of that as possible and show rather than tell. Obviously, there are certain things that you just need to say and get out there so the audience knows. But one thing this is reminding me of is we had a scene in 103 where Sinatra it's the one where she's trying to talk Baines down, the vice president. And I think the studio during the script stage had a note that they wanted to humanize her more, which is something that a needle we were trying to thread throughout the whole season. Sure. With her being the villain, but also kind of understanding where she's coming from and relating to her. And so the writers had added a sort of a monologue for her talking about how sad she was about Cal's death. And then in editing it, it was just not very compelling. It wasn't the most compelling part of the scene for sure, and it felt like we could maybe lose it. So we lost it, and then when we got to the studio network, they were like, we want to feel more human emotion from Sinatra, and they just were still feeling that. So we went back through multiple episodes, actually, and tried to find moments where we could do that for her character. And in that scene, I think Dan had the idea of maybe we just do an internal mind's eye flash for Sinatra to something that she's thinking about Cal. And I ended up using a piece of the scene from episode 2 where she's having that conversation with him about her son who had passed away. And it was really incredible when I put that in the scene. So she's just sitting there thinking about Cal, and just seeing that one shot of him did so much more for the scene than like a minute-long monologue talking about it.
But are you being an editor, so not just you, when you do things like that, are you really just patching script problems? Is this all the time? Is this part of the process for anyone? Or is it really like, well, at some point the writer, the showrunner, someone should have seen this as a possible problem. There's 2 pages of dialogue or something like that.
I think performance and directing, I think they're all elements of patching up script problems, maybe.
Well, I think we have amazing writers, and we are lucky to start with very strong scripts. Obviously, nothing is perfect on the page, and you find things as you're editing that maybe didn't come through reading it. But in terms of those kinds of visual elements that we add in, sometimes they are scripted and they're intended, and other times it's we wish we could enhance this moment more, and then we're doing it afterwards.
Sure.
Have you ever put your foot down with Dan or the rest of your post-production team and had a battle that you were you were willing to die on, and just say, no, it has to be like this, and what came of it? Or are you pretty flexible on everything?
I think on the spectrum, I am pretty flexible. I know that I'm here to make the show that Dan wants to make ultimately. And so it's definitely rare that I would say, no, it has to be that way.
But have you?
But I on
not get her fired.
on Paradise, no. There was one thing on This Is Us when I was working with him on the penultimate episode of the series, which had a lot of pressure on it. And we were working really intensely on it. And he asked, we were trying to cut time. And he asked, well, can we get rid of this particular beat? And I was just like, no. I love that so much. It makes me cry every time. We cannot get rid of that. And he is the kind of person who, if you feel that strongly about something, and he's worked with us long enough, he trusts our judgment, and he hires us because he trusts our judgment. He will usually, be willing to compromise on things like that. And in general, he takes people's opinions. He's not my way or the highway type of person. So he really likes to get a lot of people's input and then make a decision. And it's really the best of both worlds because he will take other people's opinions, but once he kind of has all the information, he's very decisive about what he wants, and he knows what he wants. So that's the best thing to have in a showrunner, I think.
Speaking of what he wants, we only have a few more minutes before you have to go back to work. What you're working on season 2? Can you tell us anything?
Probably not. I would be very.
I would think not. How many episodes? Go ahead. Yeah.
I can tell you that I'm very excited about it. I have loved the scripts. I would say it's probably not what people are expecting.
Ooh, nice. You should work in marketing.
I wanted to ask you just a quick question. Editing tools are constantly evolving, especially with AI coming into play in the last few years. How do you keep your skills sharp?
Wait, do you think that she's doing the generative extend in Premiere? Like is that your question?
No.
Yeah, it does change so fast, and now there's like DaVinci Resolve that's kind of on the rise, and which I haven't had any practice with, but I do.
What are you cutting with on the show?
We cut with Avid on the show, and that's what I've used for all my professional work. But for side projects, I use Premiere, so that keeps me kind of current on both of those at least. And I still feel like Avid is far and away the most used in TV and film. So as long as I'm sharp on that, I can find work. And as far as AI and how AI is going to come into all of this, who knows? It's definitely something that I think is important for everyone in this industry to start learning about, because it's obviously going to work its way in somehow. But at this point, we don't really touch it because.
And your job's safe. You're not worried about your job.
I'm not worried about my job in the near future. Yeah. I don't think it's to the point where it can make the type of nuanced decisions that we're having to make every day.
Agreed. At least for now.
I just have one final question. Is there a show that you wished you love so much that you wish you had the opportunity to work on, or one that's out there right now that you would want to work on?
I mean, I'm a big fan of Severance. I think that show has been incredible, and they do a lot of really interesting editing work with the way that they go back and forth between inner and outer worlds. So, I mean, that would be awesome. And it's kind of funny that I say that because in general, I wouldn't consider myself a sci-fi person, but I am now kind of working on a sci-fi show and I would love to work on something like that. So you guys might be different. pulling me over to your side.
Well, actually, what a great transition to sort of my multi-part last question. You say you're not a sci-fi person, but, I'd like to remind you, sorry, got to fix that here. When you were in college, you and Trevor both worked on something together. You were a PA on the Little Ascendants sci-fi anthology I did. And, Trevor, tried to embarrass me earlier with something, but what he confided in me is his shame that you as a PA or intern when you were in college and Trevor as an old man worked on this film anthology series for me.
Is.
And you've had a wonderful career so far and you're still young. And look at him here doing nothing.
On a hard-hitting sci-fi podcast.
But on a sci-fi podcast.
Yeah.
So you've always had a little sci-fi in you, and Trevor's just done nothing since then. So it's kind of embarrassing for him. But my question for you is,
I'll give you that one.
What, let's end with like sort of what advice would you give yourself back when you were in college, right? You didn't go to a film school. What do you wish you had known or done? What advice would you give other folks who are interested in being an editor?
Well, I think watch a lot of stuff, watch a lot of movies and TV shows, and really think about what you like and why you like it, and write down the types of things that you would love to work on one day, and look at it and think about it and have that as your North Star. The thing that I probably wish I had done more is networking. Obviously, in this industry, it's who you know, and even more so now that there are less jobs to go around. So however you can do it, like those shows that you watch that you love, try to find those editors on LinkedIn and reach out to them. They might answer and be willing to talk to you. And so you can do it even if you don't have a connection to the industry. I didn't have a connection to the industry other than my film professors from school. But there are ways that you can make those inroads. And when people are willing to talk to you, try to maintain those relationships. And that's something that had been told to me, but I didn't fully grasp that you can't just talk to someone once and expect that to be something that's going to pay dividends. You have to keep up with them and check in every once in a while, let them know what you're doing. And there's obviously a fine line between bothering someone too much and just keeping up, but do be persistent and try to maintain those relationships with the people that you know in the industry.
And you were when you were younger, you were nice, you were hardworking, you found your way through connections to your editing mentor who brought you on right to the team you are, and you've kept together as
absolutely. You have to do your absolute best wherever you are, even if it's a tiny indie web series. Give 100% because you don't know what the people you're working with will go on to do someday or who they may know. You never know where the job is going to come from. So you just have to shine wherever you are.
You hear that, Trevor?
I hear
100%. Shine. Do your best. Is this your best?
Yeah, right now it is.
I think so too. Well, Lai-San, thank you so much. We'll let you get to work. We really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you
it's
so
so
much.
good to see you again.
Thank you guys for having me. It's really fun
great.
seeing you.
And now, it's time for a no-win scenario. Did you know? Don has a master's in music. Trevor has a cat.
And we're back. Hi, everyone. Thanks again for getting this far in the episode. It's always amazing that you get past all our wonderful ad breaks.
I've been waving for the past few seconds.
Still waving. He doesn't understand that not everyone is watching this. So, Trevor, you have anything to get off your chest? Huh? He's still wearing it all season long. He's been wearing the No Win Scenario official shirt, typo and all.
I love this shirt so much.
I'm going to fix it, okay? I will get you
Don't fix it.
What do you mean?
Don't fix it. I'm dead serious. I do not want you to fix it.
No, it says, in case people don't know, it was supposed to say in small print because no one else has a podcast, but it was rush delivery to us because we really tried to get it.
No, you spelled it wrong when you sent it over to them.
Well, yes, there was a typo. It's called a typo. It was an 11 p.m. mistake. But I don't know that anyone would notice, so I'm going to fix it for you.
I noticed right away.
You did. But I will get you a brand new No Win Scenario shirt, no typos.
No, I don't want a brand new one with no typos. I want one more.
Why is that?
Because I want to have a backup one in case this one gets ruined in the wash. I want
you wash your clothes. That's the first one. No Win Scenario exclusive. Trevor will wash his clothes.
Yeah, I actually wash my clothes, believe it or not.
Wow, what is that stench though?
Yes, please give me one more.
But why do you like the typo?
I love because it's so funny. It's so you.
It's me?
So yes.
So this is making fun of me.
Yeah, of course it's making fun of you. You put a lot into this podcast. You really do. And I remember you telling me about this t-shirt thing. I wanted absolutely nothing to do with it. I did not want to wear a t-shirt. No, I didn't want anything to do with it. He presents one episode. He presents it to me as a surprise. I take it out of the box. I look at it and I just see that typo right away. And I realized this truly is
not a great way to start our third season.
Gift.
It wasn't.
A true gift. And I got to point out on the podcast, on the recording, I got to point out the typo. And it was just absolutely wonderful. And I love it. I think the typo
can I be honest?
is
Let me tell you.
Us. I think it's great.
It is us. And you know what? I can't believe I'm going to tell you this, and I haven't told him this to this point. We've actually had a lot of emails to nowinscenariopodcast@gmail.com wanting to buy these shirts off of us. Would you sell your shirt?
Would you sell
it to our audience?
BKs?
BKs.
Absolutely.
You'd sell that shirt.
Yes.
So, yeah, but I'm not going to get you another one. It's got to be a limited edition typo one.
Yes, limited edition typo.
Okay, so we'll got to start an auction site or something.
Sounds good.
Kind of sounds illegal for some reason. I don't know why it feels illegal. I don't like that. I guess this should have belonged in our Shades of Grey episode where I say take off your shirt and give it to people, but thankfully everyone has left the studio. We are all alone here in the studio.
Yeah.
They just
everybody's abandoned us.
They just gave up completely.
Because they were really bored. Because they were really bored with the earlier recording.
Well, Trevor, another great episode. Everyone feel free. No, please. That sounds desperate. Please.
Yeah.
Please subscribe.
On Apple Podcasts, Spotify, 2, Spreaker,
3.
Audible.
You can find us on Audible, Google Podcasts, but I think it's dead.
Yeah, iHeartRadio,
all those things. Yep. Find us on Instagram, TikTok,
YouTube. Listen to our podcast because it's a really good podcast.
Because if you don't, we have to get real jobs. See you next time.
Bye-bye. In today's world, mental health is everyone's concern. If you or someone you know is in crisis, please use these resources. For U.S. listeners, call 1-800-950-6264 or text Helpline, all one word, HELPLINE, to 62640 or email helpline@NAMI.org. That's NAMI.org. For our international listeners, please visit suicidestop.com. That's SUICIDESTOP.com.